Along with ATACMS ballistic missiles with a range of up to 300 kilometers, there is hope that Ukraine may also receive JASSM missiles. This view was shared on Espreso TV by aviation expert Valeriy Romanenko, a senior researcher at the State Aviation Museum. I believe we may receive JASSM, at least I hope so. And we could also get ATACMS missiles, ballistic missiles that can be launched up to 300 kilometers from our existing HIMARS and MLRS systems. These would be highly useful for us. The range may be shorter than some others, but it's still enough to strike deep and hard. There are versions with ranges from 160 to 300 kilometers depending on the missile type. Of course, we need at least 10 times more of these missiles to see real results, Romanenko said. Romanenko also pointed out that in terms of quantity, Ukraine should receive at least the same numbers as we provided with the Storm Shadow missiles. He reminded that 150 Storm Shadows had already made a noticeable impact. On July the 15th, media reported that nearly all US weapons set for purchase by NATO for Ukraine are ready for immediate shipment. Patriot air defense systems, missiles and ammunition are among the American-made weapons NATO allies will buy under an arms deal brokered by President Trump to help Ukraine defend itself from Russian attacks. NATO's Supreme Commander in Europe said separately that preparations were underway to ship the first Patriot systems to Ukraine under the scheme. US General Alexis Grinkevich said there was an ongoing conversation about whether the US would sell Patriots already available in its own military stockpiles. The Swiss government, meanwhile, said delivery of US Patriot systems to Switzerland would be delayed as Washington reprioritized to provide more support to Ukraine. The moves come as Trump's effort to take credit for the additional weapons headed to Ukraine at Europe's expense created mild friction in EU-US relations, with the EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas saying, "If we pay for these weapons, it's our support."
Russia may be preparing for a major summer offensive, CNN reported on Thursday. Russia could soon launch a large-scale summer offensive, possibly within the next few days or weeks, with the use of 160,000 troops that are being amassed near the front line, CNN quoted Ukrainian officials as saying. The report pointed to the fact that recently Russian forces have been making simultaneous advances in several key areas, including Pokrovsk, Kostiantynivka, and Kupiansk, adding that if successful, the offensive could threaten three major Ukrainian defensive positions in the east. Ukrainian commanders are cautioned that if Russian troops manage to break through at Rodinsk, near Pokrovsk, Ukrainian units there could become surrounded, a situation reminiscent of the encirclement in Avdiivka. CNN highlighted that Russian President Vladimir Putin may be aiming to act within a 50-day timeframe, the period Donald Trump has suggested before enacting secondary sanctions against Russia. This window could see a significant increase in Russian military pressure on the front lines. CNN quoted Keir Giles from Chatham House as saying that the deadline of 50 days gives Russia plenty of time to concoct its own alternative plan, and once again outmaneuver Washington through a diplomatic ploy which Trump may well accept willingly. Trump's latest extension of his notional deadlines for Putin extends Ukraine's suffering for the same arbitrary period. In the past 72 hours, Russian troops have edged closer Rodinsk settlement near Pokrovsk. CNN also quoted a Ukrainian commander as saying that Russian offensive had been underway for some time. "It has probably not reached its peak yet," he said, "but they have been advancing for some time and are doing so quite successfully."
If the US decides to transfer Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine, this will significantly affect the course of the war with Russia. Military expert Yuri Mikulyak said this on the air of Kiev 24. He noted that Russia's air defense is not ready to neutralize these missiles, which are long-range and highly accurate, and these missiles could be used to destroy Russian weapons manufacturing facilities. And if these missiles hit enemy airfields, factories that manufacture weapons and military equipment for the Russian army, as well as weapons depots, this will disarm the Russian army. They will have nothing to shoot and fight with, the expert emphasized. Mikulyak noted that providing Ukraine with American Tomahawk missiles would be a powerful blow to the Russian Federation. At the same time, even the intention of US President Donald Trump to do so could force the Russian authorities to adjust their plans. I think that Putin will think about Trump's words, because if the US president really provides us with long-range precision munitions, then, believe me, victory will be ours, he stressed. The expert noted that if an agreement is reached with the US, Ukraine could receive from 50 to 100 Tomahawk missiles. At the same time, he emphasized that we need to train personnel to launch these missiles. Ukraine also needs installations from which these missiles can be launched. These missiles are used both on water and in the air and on land. We need launchers that will work in these three variants. And not only the service personnel, but also the pilots need to be trained for this, because these missiles are fired from an aircraft at a certain angle, Mikulyak said. Some of the existing Air Force aircraft could be used to launch Tomahawk missiles that Ukraine could receive from the United States at targets in Russia, aviation expert Valeriy Romanenko told Telegraph. The expert said that based on the payload characteristics, the F-16 can carry such missiles. The Su-24 bomber can also meet such needs. The Su-24 aircraft's load-carrying capacity allows it to carry such missiles. The maximum weight of the Tomahawk is about 1,500 kilograms, and the root pylon of this aircraft can withstand such a load, the expert explained. He noted that the factory models of both aircraft are not compatible with such weapons. At the same time, engineers have already upgraded Ukrainian Su-24s to work with Storm Shadow missiles, although previously these Soviet-made aircraft could not launch European missiles. As Romanenko noted, Tomahawk missiles are not the only long-range weapon that Ukraine could receive from the United States. He considers the transfer of JASSM cruise missiles to be a much more realistic option. JASSM, according to semi-official information, is apparently already being discussed. Ukraine is unlikely to receive Tomahawk in the near future, but JASSM will be enough for us for now, he believes.